You do it off the
Wow.
city.
I mean, that's what I have here.
I'll follow.
It says print.
Pretty much everything.
Well, why don't you talking about shocking today with Colin Powell, not. I thought it was Empress. I met. Me either. I met him.
There's Christine.
I met him.
How are you?
Good talk, baby.
There's a seat right there for you.
Good talk.
Right there. Right next to her. Right there.
Yeah, I knew him. I met him through you know, my job. At the Smithsonian, I was introduced to him some time ago. Real nice.
Wave at each other.
Yeah, we have a decorating
But this is,
committee now.
it was,
I just show you my new project.
we were sitting down
Working
and
on jewelry.
he goes on her phone and it just
Socks.
came right up and we're like,
So it's gonna look
but see, I didn't know he can't.
in the colors.
No, we dig them up and just do away with them.
Nice.
It's
That-
too
that
hard to
makes sense.
store
This
those
is
over
this is
winter.
over
We don't
here.
have
And
a.
then the coordinates in this are there.
Right.
So it says established 1631 underneath the little
Oh,
symbol.
wow. Oh, I love
They're
it.
fun.
Oh my gosh.
They're little fun socks.
From the sock guy.
Yep.
Where did you come up with this idea?
We dug up all the
These were
lilies
the
in the
socks
gateway
from the
garden.
It
looping for the
really was.
library.
I've got
Yeah.
about
And they bought them
20
from St.
crates of
Louis.
them and got a
And
split
so,
up.
we needed a new
Well,
product to
no,
sell
they're
in the shop.
mostly LA
And
hybrids.
so I said, well,
This is great.
we'll have socks, because I have worn
It's
this
like 7, 8 feet
This
tall.
pair is not worn, but I have another pair that
But
I've
they
Are
just
you
got
sure?
Too thin and
that I've
full.
washed in my
They've been there 7 or 8
Yeah.
years.
Very colorful.
Yes.
We're gonna replant some of them and use some in other
I do
gardens
have
and
it.
sell
Fun
some
socks. I see you
at
have
our
yours on tonight.
plant sale.
So they,
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm sort of, winding down.
That space.
Yeah, but they just got so
yeah.
thick in
I
there that
have,
the
some
stems got a little
friends in
spindly
town
and they were
just
falling
Well,
off.
totally unrelated
To be honest
to
with you, I
everything
don't know why
else,
you.
We dug the
Couple
ones in
of high school
1812
friends.
Park up last year.
which is
I'll go
very
to
nice.
Janet because
It's a nice distraction
It's a nice distraction.
the
but it's like,
daffodils are that high.
I just can't plan another
yeah,
anything.
oh, yeah.
Already?
So you tell them to plan, and you just, you
I
tag
just,
along.
I planned a bonfire
I don't even know how many
on the
kids
beach
in the chamber.
In the mountains.
last night, or actually, there's Janet. And, so I put in a rain date for
I have to
last
count the
night,
seats. I think.
and it was still too windy. Oh, right. It really, it was just
Oh, Skilla.
blustery today.
You pronounce it Scylla or
Anyway, it
Skilla?
worked out that
So-
where my friends are renting a
Gotta see it.
house.
All I've ever
There's
seen
a
is
side
one or
yard,
two.
and we just put the fire pit
I
and
know.
shelter there, yeah. Had a windbreak,
See a silence.
and it was, put out a folding table with pizza and stuff, so it was nice. And, but it was just one more.
Oh, yeah,
I love seeing, I can't plan another, I just can't.
You're gonna talk about how important it is.
Other than that, I'm holding up okay. I went to see my mom.
They've been working real hard.
She's a big Dancing with the Stars fan. And she used to watch it with my brother Jay, and just for fun, he did it just because she liked to watch it. And they started, he really attracted the couples and who they're eliminating this week, who's in trouble or whatever. So I've taken it upon myself as of today to learn what various contestants are. Yeah.
That you don't just stick things somewhere.
Pardon that?
As we choose
Okay.
So how are you doing?
Hanging in there.
Good.
You realize that once you put art in space,
The saga continues.
Okay, I have 6:32, so we'll call the meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the Parks and Rec Commission, Monday, October 18th, 2021. I have a few announcements tonight. Ray Fratella is excused tonight. He is in Ireland. Good for him. But I do have his report for Zwannendale Park when we get to that on the agenda. I do want to let everyone know that we had a new historical marker placed at George H.P. Smith Park Friday morning. There is a dedication of that marker scheduled for Wednesday morning, the 20th of October at 10 a.m. I sent out that agenda earlier today, so hopefully you'll be able to join us for that. It's a Black House Pond and the renaming of the history of the pond and then the renaming of the park to George H.P. Smith. So if you're available, we'd love to have you for that. The city will be holding trick-or-treating on Sunday, October 31st, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And this year, looking forward to the Christmas holiday season, we do have a donation of a Christmas tree. It's a blue spruce for Zwannendale Park. It's being donated by Harry Still, and it will be cut and transported by Sussex Tree, who is donating their time and equipment. So that should be coming into town on November 18th, sometime in the morning. And then the tree will be lit officially on the 4th of December after the Christmas parade, which is also on schedule. So those are my announcements for tonight. Does anybody have anything else before we start with the agenda? Okay, hearing none. We have Marty and Harry with us via Zoom. So going to item B1 and B2, approval of the meeting minutes from our regular meeting on September 20th and our special meeting on September 30th, which was held to discuss renaming of Beach 1. Have you all had an opportunity to review the minutes?
Yes.
Are there any questions, comments, corrections, additions? No? Okay. Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
I move we accept the minutes.
Thank you. Is a second?
Second.
Candace, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. So that will take us to item C, which is the commissioner's report. I will just start with Ray's report. It's pretty quick. They removed all of the spring and summer flowers from the beds and in front of the Fisher Martin house, and the beds have been weeded. Fall pansies and tulip plantings have started, and those will be finished in a week or so. They're working to schedule some pruning of the larger trees and bushes, which would begin after the first of the year. Marty, I'm going to ask Ray to be in touch with you too before they do any work so that you can coordinate that with him, and I think also Warren with you, because I think some of that is, for plantings and whatnot. So that is Ray's report.
May I add something to that?
You may, yes.
Lewis and Bloom planted 56 flats of pansies last Friday
Okay,
in the park,
in Zwannendale.
in Zwannendale.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay, I guess we'll just go around the table. So Christine, we'll start with you.
I have nothing to report other than the fact that Lewis and Bloom has been very busy in the park.
Mhm.
Did a remove of all the annuals in the beds. But other than that, Candace wanted to report on the Children's Learning Garden, which was pretty exciting stuff.
Oh,
Go,
thank
go
you.
right ahead.
So on
Good
September,
segue. I'll come back, Kay.
September 30th, Lewis and Bloom was notified that the Children's Learning Garden won the Best Youth Gardening Program Award for 2021 from America in Bloom Symposium in the Sky. This award, the winner citation says, "Gardening is a lifelong passion that is often sparked when we are children. Gardening inspires youngsters to care for more than just plants and teaches them skills that are often forgotten about elsewhere in their lives. Youth gardening helps children develop social skills, brings families together, creates awareness of the link between nature and food. This award recognizes the community who is excelling at cultivating future generations of gardeners." So the Children's Learning Garden, congratulations to Lewes and Bloom and the Children's Learning Garden folks. They work very hard at this, and it's an exciting award for them to have received.
Great, thank you. Anything else okay. Kay, beaches?
Our big thing, of course, has been the renaming, and I want to thank everybody for their support on this. This has been big, and I was surprised to open yesterday's News Journal, and it was page 2. So that was very nice. We've gotten great coverage. The whole story is of great interest, to especially the Wilmington, Philadelphia area, where, you know, CAU was covering it, you know, NBC News, local to Philadelphia. So we're really reaching a lot of people, and I wanted to say thank you for everyone for their support on this. So I feel like we're off to a great start. And so we have our marching orders over the winter here. Trina Brown Hicks and I are going to start getting together to work on the application for the historical marker, and also to come up with, to compose the kiosk explaining who Johnny Walker was and what he meant to the community. And so we're going to get cracking on that as soon as we can get our schedules lined up. So
Great.
Thank you, everyone, for your support.
Great. Well, we're happy that went through.
Yes.
And a good, big project. So thank you. Barry?
Great Marsh Park. Not too much has happened since the last meeting. As the weather gets colder and the ticks die, we'll get in there and do some more analysis of what is in the park. We plan to work on getting the site surveyed. I recently got the lease from the mayor, so I have a few more details that we can use to determine where the lot lines are and such. Other than that, there's not really much else to report. We're working on mission and goals, and hopefully we'll have them for review, like at the next meeting.
Okay. All right.
Do you want me to do the?
Public art?
Yeah, since I'm talking. I don't have many of these, but I'll pass a couple of them around.
Some of these are
Or
at
where-
City Hall. We have them at City
Well,
Hall.
I went to, Peninsula Gallery was closed, and then I went to the art gallery on 3rd Street, and they only had a few. So I
Well,
thought-
there's a stack in City Hall, so
Anyway,
we'll get them out.
we were excited to have one of our public art members is neighbors with the cartoonist from the Cape Gazette, and he did this kind of cartoon, which was in the Cape Gazette, and we sort of did an ad with that, so I think it kind of is a good synopsis of really what we're trying to do. Anyway, the forum is going to be on November 3rd. It's going to be at the Verdon Center. And really, we just want to open up discussions about what people think public art should be, how do they see it in Lewes, so that as we choose additional pieces of art for Lewes, that we have the input from the community as to what their idea of public art. I think this last year, we were lucky enough to get 2 pieces of art. The Unbounded, which was the pile of rocks that everybody calls, we had to pay for, but the Effervescence, we got that for free and only had to pay for installation, so we were lucky to get both. And I was excited about both of them because the two were very different pieces of art. And, you know, some art moves people, some doesn't, you know, it just depends. So I think they were good examples of kind of what we can do. And then the other art piece we have is the mural. Anyway, we encourage everybody to come to that. Actually, Rodney's going to be on hand to speak about placing public art, how important it is, where you place things, how if you place art in parks or certain places, it changes the whole feeling of the space and that kind of thing. So, and then the artist from Effervescence is going to be there. Apparently, is a very good speaker, and she's going to talk about how she creates public art. And as you know, that piece of art was plastic bottles that were painted and wrapped in colored mesh. So, and then, you know, after the November meeting, we're already beginning to look at art for next year, but hopefully we'll take the input from the community there to guide our decision-making process.
And what time is that?
It is 7 to 8:30
Okay,
in the Verdon Center.
okay. Thank you. Rodney? Canalfront Park?
Thank you. Yes, Canalfront Park is in good shape and looks good for the end of the season. I know that there's one area where we seem to be getting a lot of water. That's between the basketball court and the playground. And I was there today looking at it. It was really flooded and the irrigation was on. So I'm meeting with Patrick tomorrow morning to investigate that, and he's going to be backing the irrigation off down to no more than 30% of what we need because it's cooler. Although it's a great time to grow grass, we think we can do that. So we're going to do that, and in a couple of weeks we'll be shutting it off altogether. The other thing I'll be doing is getting a price, so that you're all aware, because I think you've all heard, and I might have mentioned it before, people have been asking to have an accessible path from the parking lot to the main pavilion in the park. I'm also going to recommend that we put in a paved handicap parking area there, which we don't really have. We don't have one.
No, we don't.
And I think we should.
Hook that into the path?
We would hook it into the path so that people could pull in, get out, and go right to the pavilion, which seems to be the place. And the other part of that would be the pavilion is surrounded by, it's gravel as everything is, but the gravel was not put in according to the specifications. And so it's loose and not very stable. And so I'm going to put in the budget to pave it around the pavilion, and all the paving would be permeable paving.
Okay.
So we can get as much water back in the ground as possible. So that's the report that I have for Canalfront Park. Why don't I just give you the report on the Friends organization?
Can I just comment on the handicap parking spot, and which I think is a wonderful idea and certainly improves the accessibility. I have had some conversations. When you come into Canalfront Park and drive down the ramp, there's always a pothole there.
Right.
And it's where people come in and turn,
Right.
and the people that are backing out turn. So I've had some very informal conversations with the mayor just about a long-term solution for that, and it may very well be paving the whole parking lot.
That's a good idea. You cannot have gravel parking lots where people sit, and especially with power steering, turn their
Right.
wheels.
And
Or when they come down, what they do is they come down and they have a little bit of speed because it's downhill, and when they turn to go in the lot, the stone kicks
Right.
out.
And we've filled it, we've had maintenance fill it several times,
Right.
but it's just going to be a recurring issue. So
Probably.
I will follow up with the mayor on that too, with your thoughts for the budget for.
Well, I could put a budget in to repave the whole thing,
Okay,
or part of it. So you,
why don't we do both?
okay, I'd be happy to.
And how's that?
Yeah.
And then they, you know, they can make the decision through the budget hearing process.
Okay, very
Okay.
good.
All right, thank you. And then the Friends of Canalfront Park.
The Friends had a very good year, actually. They had 4 concerts. They had almost 300 people attending each concert. They were very pleased about that. They had a play that was for children, Hansel and Gretel. They had about 200 people attend that, and they were very pleased about that. The movies did not do very well because the movies were oriented towards children, and they didn't start till it got dark, which was at least 8:30, 9 o'clock. Most people didn't want to bring their children out that time of day, so they're going to rethink that for next year. They've had a good fundraising season. They raised about $10,000 this year. They did not go to any merchants. They went just to individuals, and we're happy to get a number of personal checks from between $250 and $500. So they're happy about that, and the Friends will be making their normal $10,000 contribution to the endowment this year.
That's great.
The concern that they have, which I think is important, is that we're starting to see that named items like benches in the park are starting to wear out and need to be replaced, and that's an expensive item. The one bench that, well, it's $4,400 per bench.
Yeah, those
Because
are
they're custom designed
Right.
benches.
Right, and the second one, I don't know if that's been brought back yet.
It's
One-
not, it
one
doesn't have
has
any
been.
wood on it yet.
Yeah, but I think probably the life of the remaining benches is coming to an end, so we're going to have to figure out what to do with that. And I think, much like the benches at the park, is doing them incrementally and replacing 1 or 2 a year, depending on what the cost is. But I think that, you know, we do have to work on the maintenance of them through the course of their life too. I don't
Well, and the
know.
Friends are starting to get inquiries from people who donated the funds and are noticing that the benches are in need of repair, and some of them are saying, you know, do you want us to contribute more money? Or there was supposed to be a fund to take care of
To
it.
take
There is a
care of
fund to
it,
take care
right.
of this. So we just need to get into that.
Okay, so we can follow up with
Okay.
Peter. He had 2 requests that he submitted, and the benches have been ordered for the Boardwalk area. So I just got notification that they should be coming in sometime in December.
Okay.
So, and then we'll get the plaques for them as well, so that's underway. So,
Very good. That's all I have to report.
thank you. Okay, thank you. Warren, your 1812 in Mary Vessel's Park?
Mary Vessel's Park, Lewis and Bloom patrons removed the annuals and planted 20 flats of pansies, put up some fall decorations, and also put in, I think about 7 helleborus that were supposed to come in last spring, but there was a supply backup with them or something, I think. Anyway, they were planted. In 1812 Park, most of the annuals have been left. There have been some fall decorations put in. Lewis and Bloom had planned to plant pansies, but the flowers look so good, they decided to leave them and plant the pansies in another park. And if I may, I'd like to give a little report on the American Bloom Symposium in the Sky. Because I attended the Zoom seminars in that 3 afternoons. A lot of it was boring, but I had to, since we nominated ourselves for a lot of awards in different categories. American Bloom has a tendency to divide the awards to many cities, so a lot of people go home happy. And we were fortunate to win 2 awards, what the Children's Garden, as Candace has mentioned, and also the Best Dog Park. And that I don't know if you know, but the Susan Crawford wrote the entry for that, and she did it in the first name of her dog. It was, so it was really very cute, and I think that impressed the judges. It
This
was,
is the voice of the dog.
it was the voice of the dog, yes.
Cool.
Yeah. And a couple of things that I noticed from the symposium. One question: does Lewes have a landscape ordinance, a residential and commercial landscape ordinance? That seems to be very important to the judges of America in Bloom, just as.
At H Park, back when H Park was Cark, and an applicant came forward with a plan for a commercial structure, they had to have a plan for landscaping. But the problem was, if when they were done, they're like, oh, you know, we didn't have any money for that, so there's not going to be any landscaping. It
Well,
doesn't have teeth.
I think this is an ordinance to maintain the properties in a certain.
Right, so our ordinance is that the city can ask, but there's no ability to compel someone to do it. So maybe it's time for the next phase, since that's been decades of sort of an unenforceable ordinance, maybe it's time to suggest they write an ordinance, I would assume in conjunction with this group, to find out how to get some teeth in it and make the applicant do it.
Are you talking about residential or parks or?
They said residential and commercial.
I only know
Well,
commercial.
That would be nice. I mean, there's some properties over on the beach side that there's not a stick of green, anything.
Marty, you're muted. No. We can't hear you, Marty. You might have to go out and come back into the meeting. Can't hear you, Marty.
The screen's not large enough to read lips.
No.
Sorry. I think she's just angry at this point.
You might have, Marty, you might have to sign out and come back in.
Reboot.
She's in,
Didn't we have this trouble last time?
yeah. I will,
I don't believe there's any residential, because
Yeah, I
there's
don't-
always the question of the street
Just
tree,
grass cutting, that's it.
right, over a certain height. But as far as like trees, and there's always, advisory, but there's no,
Benches.
there's no sort of compulsion to do it. There's nothing punitive if you don't. And I only know it from the commercial side, when plenty of commercial applicants pledged to do they presented a planting plan and never did it. And you drive past it and there was some, dried up, dead, whatever, and it looked horrible. And you contact them, like, we ran out of money and we're not gonna do it, and you can't make me. It's like, well, unfortunately, you're right, is we can't, but maybe the time has come that you do want that.
well, and I know, like, code enforcement
Yeah.
will go around and address overgrown grass and trees hanging into signs and over sidewalks and ask them to take care of it. But that's code
So you can build a
enforcement.
house and not do any landscaping.
That's right.
Nothing.
That's right.
And there's a couple houses over by the wheelhouse that have not even a blade of grass.
Right.
You
It
could
looks
plant
horrible.
all bamboo, you could do, and, there's no,
Looks horrible.
well, it's
Don't have to do
that,
anything. Just do stones.
well,
Make it look like New Jersey.
Well, or you could just put huge boulders in your yard, you know. There's, there will be pushback, but if you give people, I think, a range of what's a good idea. You know, if you're moving from another area, you want the trees and things that you're familiar with, but they're not native, this is not smart, you know, so it's a tricky thing, but
Maybe
if you think it's.
Guidelines or something like that.
Well, other towns obviously are doing this, so
Yeah.
maybe it's something we should maybe see if we can get some copies of and see if anything would apply to us.
But if anything, you know, sometimes if we just do things to encourage those kinds of things, not necessarily mandate or make it part of the code, but if you give people incentives to do that, I mean, I don't really have the answer, but.
It's a tough one.
Yeah,
It's a tough one because it's taste, it's budget, it's a lot of things, and personally, I don't have a problem with it, but I think it's much harder to legislate and then find the manpower to enforce, because that's what it always comes down to is.
Well, if I could jump in, Newcastle County has a requirement for a landscape plan to be submitted with all commercial development.
But does it have to be followed through?
Pardon me?
Does it have to be followed through? That's the
I
rub.
know of one example where the restaurant was done and they were ready to open, and the county inspector came out and said, "You're missing a holly tree. I will not give you your building occupancy permit until the holly tree is planted." So they're very strict about,
It can be done. The question
engineering
is, are we
and the-
ready for it?
yeah. So, there are ways to do it. Depends on how far you want to go with it.
Right.
Marty has some comments, and we still can't,
Just look up the ordinance and check and see
Okay.
what it says.
all right.
That's what I intend to do.
Marty, Melody's trying to get the sound on for us, for you. I think this happened last time.
While we're waiting, can I just mention a couple other things?
Sure.
What seemed to be very prominent among the towns that were participating was public art. Yeah, 10 years ago, that was not prominent. It certainly is today. Also, one thing I thought was interesting, I don't know which town it was, but it was really, I thought, neat. They had an outdoor exercise facility. So I thought that might be something that we might be able to have in the future.
What,
Are you
Do
talking
you
about
have-
fit trails?
No, it was like an outdoor gym in a way with, it was
Venice Beach?
undercover and partially, open, but it had a roof and there were machines and,
where, do you know where that was?
no, I'll try to find out.
During COVID, that's.
Right, well, yeah, I think that there would be a lot of discussion around that for, location, the protection of equipment and.
Yes.
So, yeah. So
There were,
while I appreciate it, there's a lot to discuss around that. Yeah,
In my experience of being a recreation and parks director, those fit trails that people talk about, very, very few people use them. In fact, where I stay in Florida for a couple of months, there's a fit trail in the park, and the only time I've ever saw people using it is this last year during COVID.
during COVID.
But the rest of the time, if, in 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and I walk my dog there every day, I may have seen 3 people use it. So even though they seem like a good idea, the fit trails, they really aren't used. And it's to me, it's a lot of effort for not a lot of benefit. And I don't really think they're very attractive in a park. I mean, that's my opinion.
That's it.
Okay, thank you, Warren. I'm gonna call Marty and
A little bit. Yeah, but it's mostly just, it's not gym equipment.
Marty.
You know, it's chin-up bars and.
Just put her on speakerphone on your.
Yeah, just put Marty on
Yeah,
speaker.
that's what I'm trying to do, but Marty, did you answer your phone?
On speakerphone. I'm a scared cat. That's what I do.
Kayla, who do you have on the phone? Who? Okay.
Answer the phone.
Okay, I will try her again in a minute, and then we'll circle back to that. Ed, do you want to give us a report on George H.P. Smith Park?
Yes, the only thing I'd like to address is I excavated one of our sinkholes that we have in the east corner of the park and found a very old stormwater sewer that has completely failed. And I would like for you to pass it on to the town manager, and perhaps she could get the Board of Public Works to come and make a proper repair and fill it and compact it.
I did send that email, so it's in Anne Marie's, in the mayor's office, so.
It's roped off and with warning tape and everything.
I saw it when
But
I
it's
was,
pretty significant.
yeah, okay.
It's near BB, the east, very east corner of the park. It's the very wet area.
Oh, yes, yeah,
And,
it's always wet there.
Yeah, but this was a knee breaker.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It was about, I don't know, 8-inch diameter hole, but now it's like, I dug it out quite significantly, and it's very obviously a failed sewer. But
Okay,
I don't know if it leads to anywhere, if it's still active or not. You know, we
Okay.
have several sewers in the park that are unknown.
Are you letting the grass grow on that side
We
because
are.
of the?
It looks good.
For the water.
That's what I thought.
yeah,
And it has helped. The lack of cutting has helped with the sheeting of the erosion sheeting from BB parking lot. It has helped. It's a temporary mitigation, but, you know, it has, I don't see the clay on the trail anymore, and it's gotten better, but it's definitely a temporary
This is
mitigation.
and
nothing to do.
we had, and Harry can speak to this as well, we did talk to Patrick about getting the grass plugs to put in on the buffer side to help mitigate that erosion and the water as well. We lost our opportunity in the spring, and then it got too hot, but Harry, if we want to go forward with that, I'll get in touch with Patrick and have him take care of that. I'm getting a thumbs up. I don't, apparently not. And now I can't see Harry, so. All right, let me, Harry, we can't hear you either, so,
But they can hear us.
we're still trying to do a workaround. Marty, I'm gonna call you again, or you can call me. All right, can you hear me? Okay, so I'm gonna put you on speakerphone so that you can make your comments on the landscape ordinance. Just a minute.
Guys on my computer, so I won't be able to hear you very well, but My main comment was that when they ask for a landscape ordinance, you have to really look into what they mean by landscape ordinance. For instance, they asked for a tree ordinance, and we have a tree ordinance. It's not the kind of tree ordinance that a lot of people think. It doesn't
No,
let
it just
people
applies
do
to the
things with
city.
the trees on our own property, but we have a tree ordinance that protects the
The city.
trees that the city owns.
Only to the
We
city.
have certain landscape requirements in the city code about you can't let your grass grow too long, and you can't let the bushes overgrow the sidewalks, that sort of thing. So there are some elements in there. The state has ordinances about certain invasive
Tree
species.
cutting down.
Maybe not as broad and wide as you would like, but they do have some. So, you know, you can't just say, do we have a land ordinance, and walk away, you have to dig down into what kind of land ordinance or landscape ordinance they're asking for. There are some things in the new subdivision chapters about what they need. Maybe not as much as we would like, but there are some things. So we really need to find out what they mean by landscape ordinance.
Okay. Thank you, Marty. I don't know. Was everybody able to hear that? Okay. Okay. So that takes us through item C. We have no old business under item D. So that brings us to new business, item E1. Presentation, discussion, and possible action regarding the Lewes Lights organizers' request for the Parks and Rec Commission to consider holiday light displays in the parks. I'm sure everybody recalls last year under COVID restrictions and cancellations of celebrations that there was a grassroots effort to encourage homeowners and businesses to decorate their homes and really go above and beyond what they would normally do and bring some cheer during a dark year. And Lewes Lights really pulled off quite a spectacular display and had awards for homeowners and businesses. So they are continuing for year 2. And they would like to talk to the commission regarding having more participation from and with the parks. So Rich Garrett from the Children's Beach House is here with us, and he's working with the organizers of Lewes Lights. And I'm hoping that Deborah Evalds is on Zoom in the attendees. Could you please see if Deborah Evalds is in the attendees? Okay, can you bring her up to a panelist so that she can talk too? Yes. Thanks, Melody.
She has to accept the promotion.
Okay, there she is.
Oh, she's coming.
What would be able to hear?
Oh, God, you're right. We won't.
Maybe the
Deborah, can you hear us? Okay, we can't hear you. It's okay.
Unfortunately, we're having technical difficulties, and we've done everything that we know how to do.
Okay.
So we're gonna have to not have participation via Zoom right now. If we can figure out like calling on the phone, if that would work, and we're gonna have someone come in tomorrow and fix it.
Okay, all right. Thank you for the attempts at the workaround. No, it's not your fault. I am going to, Deborah, can you call me on my work cell phone? 302, do you have it? Okay. 302-500-2040. And I'll see if we can Oh, look at that. She's right on it. Deborah? Oh. Oh, Lord, Christian, that's like, that's over my technical abilities, but let me see what I can do. Oh, okay, I like that. Thank you. Okay. All right, so that was Christian Mullins. He and Deborah are co-organizers, so he's going to bring Deborah in on the call, and we have Rich here in person. Thank you, Rich.
And Rich knows the least about any of this.
Okay. Okay. So Deborah, ugh, there's a bad echo. If you can,
Deborah needs to mute. Deborah, please mute yourself so there's no echo. Do you need mute back up on the computer? Yeah. Hold on.
Mute from the computer. If you hit the bottom of the board, that's what they do.
yep, that's better. So if you can, I wish I could get this louder, give, it is up. If you can give us, the commission, an overview of where you are at with the planning and your vision for inclusion in the, with the parks in the Lewes Lights celebration.
Gladly. I definitely had a longer presentation, but I just want to make sure that everyone can hear me okay. So if you would give me a thumbs up if you can. Great. To give a little background, we started Lewes Lights last year because the terrible year we were in, we really needed some positivity and light and joy in Lewes. And Christian came to me with this idea sometime during October, and we jumped in with both feet. And for those of you who enjoyed or participated, you know that it was a great success last year. One of the things that we wanted to do this year is expand with both geographic area and expand participation in town. So I'll address the expanding geographic area. Last year we had a lot of people in the greater Lewes area who really did want to participate, but we have a huge zip code, and we were not able to accommodate all of, we're not able to accommodate all of that as volunteers with registering and mapping all the homes. But we decided that this year we would expand Lewes Lights, both for competing in the categories that we have, or just entering for the joy of it with no competition, out to Route 1. So homeowners east of Route 1 can enter, and businesses. Businesses cannot compete, but our goal is kind of to see the gateways along Savannah Road and Kings Highway lit up as you're coming into town. And that's where I think our biggest ask comes in with the parks. I would like to take a moment and let Christian talk to you more about the numbers of registrants that we had for last year and some collaborations that we're planning for this year. And then Rich Garrett can talk about the beach house, and I can come back to you with, exactly what we're looking for from the parks.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you so much to everyone for allowing us to join into this meeting tonight. So last year, Lewes Lights really took off as kind of the COVID-friendly event in Lewes. We were asking people to stay in their vehicles, explore the town, support local merchants. We had over 67,000 different cell phones download our map for all of the Lewes Lights participants throughout the entire month of December. Of that, We have experienced local businesses on 2nd Street that have reported record-breaking, merchandise purchase at their businesses, and some businesses staying open later to support all of those efforts. Additionally, we had over 200 homes inside the city of Lewes, with an additional 75 homes outside the city of Lewes, and 50 total businesses inside the city of Lewes participate with light displays. We're expecting, with the excitement and the success of last year, that these numbers could double for this year. And we are very excited to have Children's Beach House this year as our philanthropic partner, in which Rich will provide more support on, which includes our interest in having more than just the resident home and businesses lit up in the town. As you'll see in other cities that have, a bigger presence with Christmas time lights, it is our hope that with 2021 and COVID cases declining, that we can encourage people to walk through the park, the parks in town, and participate on foot. We have local historians that are willing to do nighttime walking tours to look at the historical homes lit up, walk through the parks, and have some nice engagement that way. So that kind of led us here tonight to talk about how we can get the parks more involved and lit up and beautify the evening, nighttime area of the city of Lewes. With that being said, I'd like to pass it over to Rich and see if he can provide some additional insight on what Children's Beach House will do in support of those efforts.
Okay, thank you, Christian.
I need to use that to
Please, thanks, Rich.
First of all, let me say thank you to all of you who are giving of your time. This is an incredible town because of all the folks like you who volunteer for this kind of work, so thank you. I love Lewes, and it's because of the folks like you who contribute so much. Last year, we, like everyone else, were trying to find a way to reach out to our kids, our neighbors, in some warm way, and Lewes Lights appeared, and it seemed like the perfect opportunity for us to be involved in a way for us to participate with the community. And so we have a whole ton of Christmas lights that were donated, and a bunch of volunteers and our staff got together, and like monkeys we tried to hang them. I don't know if any of you saw our displays, but they did not look very good, but we tried. And it was really bright and cheery, and it was so much fun. And so the beach house as a whole got taken by the spirit and the energy of what was trying to be done. So this year, we decided that we'd like to participate more fully. And so we approached Longwood Gardens, and we asked Longwood if they would volunteer to help us design some sort of display at the beach house that would be kind of a wow display. And we also asked them if they would recommend 3 additional multicolored cone trees that we might give to the city so that there were additional trees that we could buy so that some of the parks could be included. We do have a commitment of one of the trees to go to the BB Medical Foundation in front of their building. We thought coming in Savannah Road, it would be really cool to see a nice display. And we have 2 other trees. We're hoping that you might consider the Zwannendale if it fits in with whatever the plan is there, and perhaps Canalfront if it fits in whatever the plan is there. This is simply an offer. If it doesn't work and there's a better location, we're happy to have that discussion. If it doesn't work in any location, that's okay. It's just an offer. We wanted to come to the city in appreciation for the community support that we receive across the board, and just to do something to participate. So in addition to the lights out at the beach house and the 3 additional trees, we've been working with Christian and Deb to expand the activities that we would be supporting for kids and families throughout the town. We thought we might have some carolers wandering around at night a few nights. We might offer roasting chestnuts out at one of the parks. All of this, of course, is if this meets everybody else's approval. Again, it's simply an idea, a way that we'd like to contribute and show up in town. I've been at the beach house 18 years, and I can't tell you how many people have said to me, you guys have a great facility, you do great work, but I have no idea what you do. And so we know we need to come off of our island and come into town a little bit, and this is our first attempt to try to do that. And it is simply for goodwill and to share our mission with folks. We're really proud of what Christian and Deb did last year, what the town did, and we'd love to participate. So that's our spiel and our pitch.
Can I ask
Thank
a question?
you, Rich.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
Are the trees, I mean, are they, I don't mean to be stupid, are they electric? Are they battery? Because the beaches don't really have any power.
Right, they are electric.
Okay.
They're not battery.
Okay, all right, thank you.
How large are they?
I'm doing this from memory. I think they're 15 feet, the two that we have available. They're at least 15, they might be 20. I'm sure they're 15.
Any other questions? Trina?
Janet, do you mind if I jump in and make another comment and follow up to Rich's?
We have a question from the floor here, Christian. Can I just take that question and then we'll get back?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Trina?
Thank you. I appreciate that, and I love Christmas, and I love it's my favorite holiday. But I heard you say about the trees, and I know that, you know, oftentimes, and my feeling is that sometimes George H.P. Smith Park is, you know, a little bit back, but if a tree could go back there to bring a little brightness, if it's available to do so. I think there's some electric somewhere around there because everybody uses for the farmers market. So so I'm just offering that to be something for to consideration.
Thank you, Trina. Okay, Christian?
Awesome, thank you. And I would love to get Trina's contact information as well, as we are having other contractors and construction companies locally that want to give back to the community. So I think supporting the park that Trina was mentioning could be a great way to brighten up that area as well. So I just wanted to touch base after Rich's comments. You know, we are extremely grateful for the generosity of Longwood Gardens and what they are doing with Children's Beach House. They're a huge, reputable, nationally known organization that does amazing light displays that people know around this country. And the fact that they're coming to Lewes, Delaware to do this for us will be definitely something that's huge for our town. Deborah and I wanted to piggyback off of Rich's comments and just saying that it's going to take more than Longwood Gardens to really bring this to life for everyone. So while Rich is talking about, you know, placing these trees strategically throughout the city to bring Children's Beach House generosity into the city, we are asking, you know, our main ask here is that we can ask for the supports from organizations like Lewes and Bloom and the different commissions to see if there's budgetary options to put white lights on these trees and bushes and stuff to brighten up these parks for these evening activities.
Yeah, and that's where I'd like to come back and jump in with, you know, the big ask. The ask that we have is exactly that. It's that particularly the gateways to Lewes and areas that we anticipate you know, being visible from the road as people drive around and see the lights, that there's just, you know, some more light in the park if budgets permit. In particular, I did actually wonder about George H.P. Smith Park. I think that would be fantastic if there's electricity there, you know, over kind of where the daffodils are, or what, you know, wherever the park commissioners, wherever Ed thinks that would be appropriate. Again, if budget permits. Otis Smith Park would be a great opportunity. I imagine there is electricity there, and decorating that gazebo could be fantastic. But, you know, Zwannendale Park, I know that there are a lot of plans, I guess, and usually decorations there. Even enhancing that, and perhaps more like at Steingo Park. And again, I do know that this is all budget dependent. We have had, last year, we had a lot of businesses that came forward and wanted to partner with us, but we really chose to keep it grassroots. We did not accept any donations. And instead, we would rather propose to businesses, perhaps you could sponsor decorating a public building or a park. And that's something that we really do embrace. We also know that there are work shortages and employee shortages in construction. So, you know, that may have a bearing on people's willingness to actually donate manpower. But, you know, we kind of want to throw it out to the Parks Commission and to the individual commissioners. I understand, Kay, that the beaches are an uphill battle because not only do you have no electricity, we know that everything gets eaten down if you put any lighting and decorations down near the beach, which Christian can attest to, living less than a block from the beach, and having to redecorate his house several times last year. But to the rest of the parks up in town and Otis Smith, we would just love to see how you would like to participate if you would like to participate. So that's kind of why we're here tonight, to get feedback from you. Is this something that you would be interested in doing? And is this something that you might have some discretionary budget for? So that is our ask. And to let you know that we are working hard as volunteers, and the citizens of Lewes have surpassed any expectation that we may have had about decorating. They are amazing. And we just want to make it bigger and better. So that's it.
Okay. Are there comments, questions, observations, thoughts?
Can we
Open it for discussion.
Can we ask the streets department to help with this, or is that not really acceptable?
Well, they do the snowflakes, don't they?
Actually, the BPW puts up the snowflakes. Maintenance and myself take all the snowflakes and change all the bulbs out, so that's fun.
But we love the snowflakes.
I know, everybody
Thank you
loves
for
the
doing the
snowflakes.
snowflakes.
And we also know that Lewes and Bloom does a tremendous amount of decorating already.
Yes.
You know, that's with all of the downtown, and, you know, it's amazing. It looks beautiful right now, and it will look beautiful for Christmas. So this is really more of asking specifically for lights in more of the parks, and to see if there's any way that we could, you know, work together to make that, to get that done.
So let me address, and I'll let the park commissioners discuss what they feel might be possible within their individual parks, but I just want to address the budgetary issue. We do have a line item for seasonal decorations, which is primarily the decorations during the holiday Christmas season. We have the light posts on 2nd Street wrapped with garland and white lights and bows. Also on Market Street, Mary Vessel's Park, 1812 Park, and the 1812 parking lot. I'm sure I'm missing some. I think, you know, the snowflakes go down 3rd Street, 4th Street, Kings Highway, Savannah, Pilot Town. So that's all done by the city. And we have a budget for that. I don't know what we will have left over this year to do a whole lot in any of the designated parks where commissioners feel that it would be appropriate. But certainly, if the commission wants to move forward to participate, more actively in decorating the parks, that is something that we could build into the budget for next year. In Zwannendale Park, we have a donated Christmas tree that is going to be cut and transported, donating time and equipment by Sussex Tree Company. And that will be coming in November 18th, and that's decorated by the city. And then the chamber we have the official lighting, and the chamber does caroling. We do have another tree in that park that is lit. And, you know, that might be a place to do a little bit more, or accept Rich's very kind donation of the trees and build that up a little bit more until we can put together a budget and make a determination on what parks will work and, you know, what's that going to cost. Comments from the commissioners?
Yeah, I'll comment regarding Canalfront Park. And I talked to Peter Issel today, who's the chair of the Friends group. And they'd be very supportive of putting decorations or a tree like that in the park. Great idea, and I agree with that. The question was, it's a little late to be asking for money or trying to raise money. That's the real challenge. But I would suggest that the Friends would be very supportive, and you should give him a call, and I'll give you his phone number. I don't know that I want to do it publicly over the airways, but I'd be happy to do that. And but
She said that they.
What is,
They, hold on. We're getting feedback through the phone again.
You need Deborah, remute your computer.
Yes, I'm good. I was just saying, we do have Peter's contact, so
Okay.
we can definitely.
well,
do that.
he said give him a call. Okay, he said please give him a call, and he'll see how he can support you and help you out. The only other thing I would.
Go ahead, Rodney.
The only other thing I would caution you is, in my experience, lighting trees, taking trees and wrapping the lights around them does a lot of bud damage to the trees. So you have to be very careful about how you're going to light them. You know, you see that all the time, that they go out on the branch and wrap, and then they bring it, take it off, and you can. Some trees are more susceptible to others than having bud damage, so you have to be careful when you do that. I think I heard something about uplighting trees or throwing color or some other way. That's a great idea. I would encourage that, to be sure. So I don't think you're going to have any problems from Canalfront Park.
Okay.
Yeah, if I could just speak really specifically on Canalfront Park real quick. This is Christian Mullins talking, and I am on the board with the Friends of Canalfront Park, and I should have spoke on this earlier, but we're actually all set at Canalfront Park. We have the net house is actually going to be fully decorated and Christmas lights this year, and will be utilized for the entire month for activations of pictures with Santa Claus and various, I'm sorry, not officially, but in the works of, with support from Peter and some other people. It's just a matter of getting the final details organized with that, with the budget within Canalfront Park. But they've done that last year and for several years before that. And Peter has made that commitment to me in the days prior to this call. The thing that we want to specifically ask for, and I understand that it might be a little bit late for the budget. Funny enough, right now is when all of the businesses are throwing their sponsorship and donations and stuff at us. So I'd be curious if the conversation would change at all in anyone's interest if the money was provided to you, or if an organization came forward and said, you know, we'll give your park all of these commercial grade lights, and you know, we have support like Longwood Gardens and these other professional services that know landscaping and how to treat trees and you know, with the lights and whatnot. If there's any parks that would consider partnering with a donor or sponsor to light up the park.
Well, I think the answer with Canalfront Park is yes. It's just, you know, getting that done and getting that far along and talking to whoever's going to do it and what they plan to do. So I would encourage you.
My only concern with Canalfront Park is that the trees are very small and kind of twig-like. We're trying to do parks like Zwannendale and Stango that have these, like kind of like Deborah's picture on her Zoom background right now, that have the thick branches and you know, have the ability to not damage the trees and hurt them.
I'd agree. I agree with you.
Any other comments from commissioners on ideas for your specific parks? Are you supportive?
Do we need to formally say we're going to cooperate with the group, or, I mean, there's a lot of details to work
Well,
out,
there's.
I think in concept we can all agree that we want to cooperate with the group.
I think we can conceptually, if there's interest from the commission to consider this, what we may be able to do this year and then do more planning for next year. I mean, at this point, we're less than 2 months from when, you know, the decorations need to go up. So I think, unfortunately, to do something major at this point is going to be difficult. I think that if we can possibly identify parks that we can, or a park that we can look at for this year, and then have more discussion going forward next year, earlier in the year, and be planning for this well in advance. So I think it's kind of a two-step process. Do we have interest in doing this, and what can we do this year? And then what we would, as the commission, plan for what we can do in the park next year.
I think Harry's had his hand up for a while.
I'd like to address Commissioner Durkin's question. You would not have to work, you know, with us, like we don't have guidelines or anything like that. It's really very informal. It's spreading the joy, and that's it. So essentially, if we knew that there were going to be lights in particular parks, we would ask the commissioner to go on our website on leweslights.com and just register that the park would be having decorations, and you would register either under the business category or the no joy, and we would just put a pinpoint on the map that yes, so that this is a park that will be lit, will have lights.
But I want to know what's going to happen.
You know, it's no commitment on the degree and how many lights you're having. It's just a commitment to participate, that's all. And it can be on an individual park basis. It doesn't have to be all the parks. And I realize that the electricity is an issue too, and you may be able to do some decorating this year or not. So that's really all that's asked.
Okay. Can you just, I'm sorry, I missed a little bit of what you said, but talking about individual parks and having us go into the website and kind of registering, saying that this park will be lit?
Yes, or you could really just let Christian or I know, and
Okay.
we will make sure that there's a pinpoint for 1812 Park or for Mary Vessels. Whatever parks are decorated, we'll put a pinpoint on the map so that visitors can know to drive by.
Okay, all right.
I will say that would be in the event of a situation in which the commissioner would be fully running the details of how that park gets lit, the funding of it and whatnot. If the commissioner is interested in saying, I don't have the funds for it, but I'm all for someone coming in and doing it. That requires further conversation where we need to find a sponsor for you, whether it be, a big, construction company, or business, and then start that whole conversation up. But regrettably, this time right now is when, it's very difficult for Lewes Lights right now to get organized even before Halloween, because no one wants to talk about Christmas before Halloween. But you will see after the Halloween holiday passes, we're going to have a lot more businesses. When word gets out about Longwood and other participants, other people are going to want to get involved, and I think that's a perfect opportunity to jump in and put some lights on these parks.
I would say that I would think that all the parks would be amenable to it, but
We don't
I
have
would
the
say
funds.
none of the parks have any plans for decorations at this point. And so I think it's gonna be more what you all can provide and which parks you think would be the best or the most conducive for decoration.
Safe electricity is the key.
I mean, all the parks don't have friends like Canalfront. I mean, and they would have to be engaged in the whole process, I would think. But
I do want to put that question back on you, though, because you are the experts of the trees and the plants in those parks, and I think it would be most helpful to Deborah and I if you tell us, out of all of the parks, which 2 to 3 of them are most suitable to handle commercial Christmas lights that would add to the look and feel of the park versus causing potential damage to the shrubbery and everything like that. Because I'm no expert when it comes to that, but I feel like you guys could.
I mean, in my mind, there's probably 4: Mary Vessel, 1812, Zwannendale, and Canalfront Park, and
Otis
also
Smith Park for sure.
And
And I think there's power there, that's safe,
Sure there is.
Well,
So
and
far.
I think 1812 and Mary Vessel's already has a lot going on that
Right.
the city is doing. If I can bring Marty, she has comments. Marty, go ahead.
Okay, I hope this works. I'm getting a little feedback from you guys, but I just want to make a couple comments. First, I really appreciate what was done with Lewes Lights last year. I remember how nice it was to have that joyous effort going on at a really difficult time for all of us. So that really was wonderful. From a standpoint of the parks, I would say, there was a mention at one point about having to put electric in. I know, for instance, Stango Park has tree roots everywhere, and if we were going to run electric conduit, first of all, I don't see how it could be done this fall, but it'd have to be done very carefully and locations chosen very carefully not to cut through important tree roots, so we'd have to figure that out. GHP Smith Park, I don't think has active electricity at this point. I think there might have been some active electricity back when there used to be, there's a little amphitheater there on the far side, near where the artwork is right now, but that was taken out. So I know because the farmer's market doesn't have electricity when it has its demos. It has to make other arrangements, bring in propane stoves and that sort of thing. Or a battery operated loudspeaker if anybody wants to have a loudspeaker in there. So, but it's a great idea to think about for upcoming years. And if there could be something done with solar, maybe that's an option. I don't know. I am also concerned about uplighting because there's a lot of issues about light pollution right now along the coast, especially. I know Rehoboth recently passed a new policy that they're going to avoid light fixtures that uplight because it adds to light pollution. So I would be concerned about that, and I echo the concern about wrapping trees. We do have some trees wrapped now. The cherry trees seem to tolerate it fairly well, but as was pointed out, there is breakage of twigs and things, and you'd have to be really cautious. But there's a lot of other ways to decorate without wrapping. So those are my comments.
Okay. Thank you, Marty. If you have other comments, just call me back on this line. I think she hung up on me. All right.
I know Harry has his hand up, but I don't know how you're gonna communicate with him.
Oh, Kayla, can you ask him to write it in the chat? Is that possible?
Yeah.
Harry, we're trying to see if there's a way for you to write Q&A. If you have a comment, Harry, can you write it in the Q&A section on the bottom, that little icon?
Looks like Harry's going to do that for you, and while he does it, I just want to make the formal announcement too. Marty made a wonderful point about solar energy and how important that is to a lot of people in our community. We're very, very excited that this year Lewes Lights will be partnering with the University of Delaware, and University of Delaware's Barden Center will be doing an outdoor light display that is linked to the windmill and completely wind energy generated for Lewes Lights.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, I think that just speaks again to another way that we're expanding this year, and I do understand that your budget works a year ahead. So I think if there's not a lot of input from other individual commissioners, that maybe we can just, request that the commissioners discuss this and see if it is something we'd like to proceed forward with for 2022. And, if not, I know we will note that the parks that already do have lights for this year on our tour.
Okay, I think certainly, 1812 and Mary Vessels and even Zwannendale, I mean, it's only, it's a cut tree and a live tree, but they will be lit, and I think we can, if we want to accept the donation from the Children's Beach House, we can make a determination on where they would be best placed, and it might be Zwannendale for this year to put them there to have, a little bit more light in that particular park. But I think, the only thing that I could say is just once I get the final amount from our Christmas decor, if there is something left over, we can consider it and talk about it. But again, I'll say it's very little time that we have to be able to be thoughtful about, doing the decorating in the park. So I think it might be best to, if we agree that it's an idea that we'd like to pursue, then to have the ability to be more thoughtful throughout the year and plan and budget for it. If the commissioners, any thoughts?
I agree. I think the electricity is the real limiting factor, and how to get around that, since very few of the parks actually have electricity.
Right.
So, but if we think about it, we can get it.
We have a comment from Harry. It says, it would be great to include George H.P. Smith Park, but the only power we have right now is on Johnson Avenue. It would be great to add conduit further into the park for next year.
Okay, thank you, Harry. That's a good point. And again, I think that, that's just one more comment that speaks to how much the commission really needs to discuss and plan. So, you know, I think our participation this year would have to be relatively limited. But I think everybody agrees that it's a good idea and would want to be a part of it. When we have time to be more thoughtful and plan.
Janet, my last question for you would be, understanding that, you know, next year we'll have a heavy focus with the, you know, hands-on with the commission on what we can do to make these parks more accessible for, you know, the installments of Lewes Lights activations. Is there any permission that Rich or the team at Longwood Gardens or Children's Beach House needs at this point to move forward with those two donated trees to be used in the parks and the placement of those?
I think we just need a motion from the commissioners to accept the donation, and they would make a determination on what location and be in communication with Rich and you and Deborah on where that would be. And I think that could be a discussion, you know, amongst the commissioners. I don't know that has to be, you know, I think it can just be done amongst the commissioners.
Yeah, I agree. I make a motion that we accept the trees and then place them after further discussion amongst ourselves.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay. So, Rich, thank you for the very generous donation, and we'll be in touch, and we'll get the location. Obviously, it's going to be dependent on electrical, but thank you.
No, thank you.
Thanks.
All. Have a good evening.
Thanks, Rich. Deborah and Christian, any other thoughts?
You know, just thank you to the Parks and Rec Commission, to, you know, the Parks Commissioners for looking forward to next year. And even if it does turn out that there is, you know, any possible way, just one suggestion that goes a long way and I think has minimal impact on night sky is the use of, you know, like colored spotlights. Is depending on the location. There are even solar colored spotlights, but they can have a lot of impact. The winner of one of the large categories, It's a Wonderful Life, last year, which is on the corner of, right next to the Presbyterian Church Graveyard, 3rd and Franklin. That was a lot of their decor, was red and green spotlights on the front lawn. And when you have beautiful trees, it really does, you know, it's quite easy if there is a power source to do something like that and inexpensive. But does add a lot of visual impact and, you know, welcoming feeling. So thank you, and thank you to all the individual commissioners who, you know, do really seem interested in doing this in the future, and hopefully we can.
Okay. Thank you, Deborah. I appreciate your time. And Christian, thank you as well for guiding us through your vision.
Thank you so much, everyone, and we look forward to you know, building this partnership and relationship in the years to come.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for sticking with us, too, with the technical difficulties. Okay. Okay. Thank you for that discussion. So I will make sure that we get that on an agenda early next year so that we can really do some thoughtful planning. But we will at least start with the 2 donated trees, so.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the end of our agenda. It is 5 minutes to 8. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make motion to adjourn.
And second, Barry, thank you. Our next meeting is November 21st, which is the Monday of Thanksgiving week. What? 21st?
The 21st is a Sunday.
So it's the 22nd.
Right?
Wait a second.
22nd.
22nd, yes.
22nd, yeah.
22nd.
No, wait, yes, this is 20.
Monday, yeah, the 3rd. No, wait, actually, it would be the 15th. That's the
It's the
3rd.
third, yeah.
Yep,
It's
it
the
would be the
15th.
15th. So it's not Thanksgiving week, so we will.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, that's good. So the next meeting will be Monday, November 15th at 6:30.
Got it.
Okay? And we had a motion and a second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you all for your time tonight.
All right.
Thanks for being a technical.
What do I have to do?